right, it's time. Hello, everyone. My name's Peter. I work for R3. I'm one of the senior developer evangelists here at R3. So, oh, Anthony. Yeah, thanks. So, yeah, so today's session is about one of our SDKs. It's called the Business Membership Attestation, or, for short, or a literal name, you can just think it as a business network extension. So without further ado, let's give a quick recap of what is a Corda and what's basically is the SDK. So a Corda stands for a Corda decentralized applications. It's like the smart contract in the Corda blockchain world. You probably hear the word smart contract like a million times while working with blockchain technologies. But in our platform, we call it Corda. It's the Corda decentralized app. So Corda is just a binary jars that store inside of the Corda nodes, and each node can carry multiple Corda apps. So in this very short, small diagram here in the slide, so we have three nodes: node A, node B, and node C. So you see that they both carry one or two Corda apps. So all of the three nodes, they all carry node A, node B, and hello world Corda apps. So that means all three nodes can share functionalities, transacting with one another, using the functionalities, the method in the hello world Corda apps. But if you look at the diagram, only node B and node C have the whistleblowing Corda apps stored in their node. So basically, node B and node C, they can have functionalities and the transactions doing the things that are basically documented in the whistleblowing Corda apps. So that's basically is the fundamental idea of what is a Corda app. The Corda app basically allow your node to recognize the incoming transaction and actually responded to it. The Corda apps will carry that functionalities. So your node is just an engine. The default engine doesn't know anything. You have to tell your node what to do, and that Corda app is basically that instruction. Inside of a Corda app, there are three key components of a Corda app. We have state, contract, and flows. So state is like the object in Corda. The information get created, stored, updated, and eventually consumed. So that's the state. And the contract is basically the things that you need to go through to verify the transaction. If all of the contract rules pass, then your transaction will get reported and your ledger will get updated. The flow, lastly, is basically the command and the instruction which execute the business logic of your business use cases. So that's basically the three key things of a Corda. And for today's sessions, we're going to talk about one of the items that offered also by our company R3 is called the SDK, the Corda software developer kit, the Corda SDKs. And for today's SDK is business membership and business network membership SDK. We have other SDKs known as token SDK and account SDK, but that will not going to be covered by today's sessions. It's already covered by our previous bootcamps. We have those videos uploaded to our YouTube channel. So if you are interested, feel free to go on to YouTube and then watch those sessions. So for business membership, what problem are we solving? So when you are working with a Corda app, working with Corda identities, all you see are the address or even the public keys. So if you are in a network has 4 nodes, have 3 nodes, one node tree, everybody basically carries the same weight. In this network, you can tell like who's doing what, because the X500 keys only basically tell you like the address that you are transacting with, but it does not carry much more information. Then you are facing basically the idea, you're facing the situation that you don't really know the business entity or like the meta data that it carries behind the 500 X500 certificate. So you basically you are getting a transaction from someone, and then you might wondering who that is. Can't even understand what they're saying. You have to go onto a network map, or you have to go off the ledger and then find basically a catalog documenting everything about like basically a map, a hash map, or whatever map, a table that map the X500 certificate with the real business identity of your counterparties. So basically, that's the issue we are facing, is total flattened network. You have no business related metadata regarding the node. All you see is basically is the common name, the locality, the organization name, but sometimes the organization name will not, and most likely they will not, basically say Morgan Stanley, Wells Fargo, right? It's probably a hash, it's probably some serialized code, or it's probably the bank code for doing for basically mask their real identity, and only people with the catalog, only people with the table can know who that person is. So the SDK we are offering today, we are talking about today, basically mitigate that issues. So we are looking to have some concept and definitions about the players in the network. So in this slide currently I'm showing, basically it shows the difference between the two, the default Corda network structure, and then that basically the advanced Corda network structure with that business membership attestation SDK. So on the left, the platform logic originally by default is you have a network operator and then you have the node operator. And the default network is flattened and there's no business related metadata regarding the node. With the SDK, what you can achieve, wait, I'm getting no audio anymore. Can people still hear me? Oh, okay, all right. Yeah. It's I think I'm audible, but it's just one person. Maybe try to rejoin or something. Yeah. Okay, so with the SDK, what you can achieve is you can actually have business logic. You can have the business network governor. You can have the business network admin. You can have the business network participant. So basically, you can. I mean, segregate is a bad word to use, but you can assign different roles and different responsibilities, different permissions to each node of your network. And by using the business network extension, you can achieve is your network is no longer flattened. You can have a well-structured and managed basically your membership list. And you can there will be entitlement based on different roles. So I will show you guys a quick example, and I will show you guys a sample. So this is the example of what I'm talking about. So with the extension, the business network SDKs, you can again still have the same node A, B, C, D. You see, we have 4 nodes. Those 4 nodes are still the same nodes from the flattened structures, but now we can put them first into different groups. So you see, we have subgroup 1, subgroup 2, subgroup 3. So basically, we can say, okay, node A belongs to subgroup 1, B and D belongs to subgroup 2, and node C belongs to subgroup 3. And that's the first layer. We can keep going down. The second layer we can we can manipulate or structured is custom identities. So you can have within or like with putting into different groups. You can also assign them with different identities. Identity 1, custom identity 2, the list can go on. I don't think there's a finite limit on how many identities you want to assign, but given Corda is again, it's a private network, the players of the network is limited. So I would think we are not in the situation that you're gonna have like 1,000 identities categories. But thinking about having 10 customized identities, I think it's totally fine. So that's the second layer, right? Then continue down the directions. We can within the identities we can have different roles. Role 1, role 2, role 3. Meaning that they can do different stuff based on their roles. And I'm not showing on the diagram, but I think the SDK actually allow you to have one more layer. It's called permissions. So that means within the roles, you can basically turn on and off different permissions for the node. So that's basically 4 layers of how you can structure or label your node. So that's basically is what the SDK is doing. The next slide, I'm gonna show you guys an example that I built a Corda app, basically showcase the different, different layers of this. So in a mock global insurance business network, we have 5 nodes. On the top left, we have the network operator node. Basically, he's the person assigning all this like responsibilities, permissions, and roles. And besides him, there are 4 more players or participants in the network. We have the insurance company A, we have insurance company B, we have care provider A, which is psychiatry, and the care provider B, which is orthodontics. So going into the different layers of the SDKs. So first, we are putting them into different groups. So if you think about the previous slide, the first layer is the groups, right? So in our examples, we are putting them into by different region, a geographic region. So insurance company A and the care provider A belongs to the APAC Insurance Alliance. Care provider B belongs to the EMEA Insurance Alliance, and insurance company B belongs to North America Insurance Alliance. So basically, we are already assigning different basically labels to the nodes. So imagine if they are all flattened, you don't know anything. You can tell from their the only information you're getting from about node when they first transacting with you is from their X500. but their X500 can be meaningless if the whole network agree that we don't want to show our real identity in the X500s, then it's going to be very difficult to know. So the first layer of metadata already is assigned is the geographic regional characteristic of the companies or the participant. So insurance A, care provider A belongs to APAC, EMEA is care provider B, and the insurance company B belongs to North America. Second layer, their identities. So on the left, you see we have two categories. So for the insurance companies, we label them insurance identities. And for the care providers, we label them care provider identities. If you want to expand your application, you want to include the payments, you want to include reinsurance, you want to include what else? Like maybe collections. Maybe. So collection service. So that will be different identities. So that's the second layer. So from this diagram, you can clearly see insurance A and insurance company B belongs to the insurance, and then so is the care providers. The next layer is the roles. So basically, insurance is a category that covers the functionalities of, or not functionality, the categories of the companies. Basically, like covers what the company will do, like can do, right? They are insurance companies. In care providers, they give medical service, right? But within the medical service, there are so many services each company will do. So for the insurance, there's the policy issuer's role, or there's the underwriter role. For the care providers, there, as it's noted in the note, there's the psychiatry role, or there's the orthodontics role. So, I'm just making this example up to show you guys. Maybe it doesn't really work in real life, but for the care provider part, yeah, I'm pretty sure. But for the insurance, maybe people may argue like, okay, all insurance company does both, but that's just an example. But anyway, so right now this diagram basically is well structured, and each node is been labeled with 3 layers of metadata that you can basically look it up when you executing your flows, and actually you can code it into your flow that certain company can only do certain things based on their identities or roles and responsibilities. So for example, we can basically code our flow saying that you can only issue an insurance if you are a policy issuer. So that means insurance B, care provider A, and care provider B can actually not issue trigger the flow, trigger the policy issuance flow. Because if you remember the first slide we are showing in today's session, the node will basically read in the functionalities in the Corda apps, and the node can actually execute everything in the Corda app. If you don't sort of like have a blocker to stop the node executing the flow. Because in another word, the node is just the node doesn't know anything. There's no like AIs running behind the node who actually knows what it's doing. So the node will actually run anything the node operator tells the node to run. So that's there might be a problem. For example, if you are care provider, and then since you are in the network, you get a copy of the Corda. And since you're getting the Corda, you basically, as a node operator, you have the capability of starting any flows within the Corda, and that will include issue insurance. Of course, people are gonna find out and actually, set up a dispute, and then you can sort of work it off. But the thing is, if you have this SDK, the membership attestation SDKs, you can prevent that hassle. So basically, you can code within the flow that's saying that nobody else can run this, trigger this flow, even though they have the Corda. Only the insurance company with policy issuer role, with policy issuance permission, can issue issue an insurance policy. So that's basically the problem or the things that we try to mitigate with the business network SDK. Okay, so that's that. And lastly is the membership. Okay, so that's actually going to the coding part. Okay, before we go to that slide, any questions with all those overviews, high level overviews of the SDKs? I'm keeping an eye on the chat, so if you have any questions, you can just drop in the chat. Oh, there's actually a QA. Okay, so the question is it possible to implement a dynamic logic within or before calling a flow that grants a permission based on state, context data versus a static role? Yes, you can, but keep in mind that has to be done from the network operator node. So that means you gotta have like the big brother coming in and then change the role for you. But how dynamic that is really basically depends on how fast you're considering the word dynamic is. So we can be smart about it, because just thinking about it, you can do some tricks. So for example, you can so like that's not part of this SDK, but I'm just thinking a solution on top of my mind is you can actually send a request to the network operator, and then you can set it as auto execute or something. And once you receive the state, you can basically set a listener on the network operator's database, and once that database is being updated, you can automatically change the role. So the answer is you can, but it depends on how you define dynamic. Like, because when I think about dynamic is like when you do it, you get a result. But in our case, it has to be done by the network operator, and there will be a sort of approval process. Yeah. Another question: do you use smart contract to check role is valid at use stage? Because license for this particular role could be canceled or unwanted as of date. Yes, you can, but lastly, the date, I'm not sure. I will actually show the code. So when you actually execute the smart, Corda, the smart contract, if you in the flow, you ask for the identity, you ask for the permission, you ask for the role, it will check automatically. But I'm not sure if the role can expire based on date. Again, I think the network operator need to step in and then cancel the permissions. Yeah. But I mean, again, I think you can also code something smart to achieve it, but by default, the SDK do not offer that functionality. But that's a good point. Yeah, I think some roles probably should expired, like having a expiration date on it. Okay. All right. So let's see how it's exactly done in the code. Let me share a different screen. Okay. All right. Okay. Sharing my screen. I hope everybody can see. Let me turn the chat on. Yes. So first, let me tell you where this example is located at. It's in the samples repo, and it's called business networks. Again, if you're a Java developer, you just go to samples Java. If you're a Kotlin developer, you just go to samples Kotlin. It's identical. It's the same thing. It's called insurance business network. That's exactly the thing what we just talked about. Okay, so first thing first, we said it's a Corda app, right? The Corda app must have things to get updated, consume, consume, stored, and created. So the first thing in this Corda app is the insurance day. So I'm not gonna spend too much time on this. It's just basically it's a object that stores things about insurance, right? Issuer, issuee, care provider, network ID, blah blah blah, all these things. So what we do care about, we want to talk about today, is the customer identities. So basically, you code your identities. You can code your identities whatever you want. You can have a regex code. You can have a different name, labels, whatever unique identifiers. That's all you want. But what you need to do is to implement a business network identity. So that's one of the class in the SDKs. So basically, this is what we are creating as the second layer. So the group, you don't need to do anything. You just need to use the method within the SDKs. What you need to do is to create the custom identities, because that's again, customize is your identities. And you can look into basically copy what we are doing here. Is a very simple way to issue to create identity. And here is you can create some roles. So for the insurance, we just create a policy issuers. If we it's basically another subclass of the identity class, and then it extends the roles. I can simply basically create another role, calling it the underwriting role. Change the name, change a few things here, and the writer, then add the permissions of what it can do. Then that's basically another identities. But I'm actually not gonna change the code. And lastly is the fourth layer. Is basically the permissions of the different roles. And for this one, we say that the policy issuer can issue policies, and that will be carried here. So when you create this role, or when you're assigning this role for that specific node, you can actually say that, okay, that policy issuer can issue policy, or I gonna actually make some stuff up right now. Is I can cancel let's see. So yeah, so that's the is something yeah, the different roles for the policy issuer. So simple as that. That's it. It's you can think all this are just simple labels. There's no logic behind it. It's just you create identity. Identity has roles. Role has permissions. They are really just like labels of a specific object, and that object is your node. Anyone have the repo link? Sure, I will share it. So I will actually Java. I will give the Java link, but feel free to change. No, actually, I will give you the Kotlin link as well. Yeah, both Java and Kotlin links. Yeah, so that's the issuer identity. So if we look at the care provider identity, again, it's the same thing. You can have some identifiers for your identities, but just make sure you implement the business network identities. You can create multiple roles, right? You can have the psychiatry role, you can have the orthodontics role, and different roles, you can have multiple permissions. So yeah, so that's basically what you need to code in your contract jar, in your contract, package to illustrate your identities. And inside your contract, where you can actually, basically verify all this stuff about your identities, verifies who you are. And for the workflows, you see we only have one, which is the issue policy workflow. It's only one transaction we are doing, but here we are checking for all those permissions for your executions. So the workflow of using the business network membership SDKs will basically create some burden when you're writing your workflow, but I can assure you it's worth it because that's basically prevent people calling the wrong method in their business network. Okay, I see it. There's actually quite a few questions pile up here in the chat. So let me get to the chat first. So let me see. Financial health care require registration and license in registration main exchange at a particular point of time. Okay, all right. Revocations of credentials to have this role is one important function. Sure, all right. Okay. So yeah, that's not the questions. Second, if any role needs to be added or revoked, should we make the code change or we deploy node again? No. So everything is application layer changes. So let me see. Let me show you. So you can basically realize that if you sort of look at the README, look at the usage, running the, let me find it. Here, interacting with the Corda. Okay, zoom in. No, I can't. No, I hope you can see. So, so when you're interacting with the SDK, so first step, you create a network, right? You create a network, you assigned, then you request joining the net. Okay, we're here. Oh, so first is the network creation by the network operator. So it creates the entire group thing, right? You have to have a network, then you basically have different groups, right? The rest of the node, the second thing is the rest of the node requests to join the network. The second is the network operator query all the requests and activate the membership status for the other nodes. Then the network operator will create a subgroup out of a global insurance network called APAC, and then create EMEA, and then create North America. So it's all done by the network operator. And then the network operator will assign customer identity to the node. The issuer will get insurance identity. The care provider will get the care provider identities. And then the last is the customer network identity comes with custom roles. We will give the issuer node a policy issuer and then role. So those, you see, everything is done by the network operator. So it's like the the big brother of the network. So to your question, if any role needs to be added or revoked or blah blah blah, it's all done by the network operator. And as I said, all the assignments are level 2 application layer assignments. So you don't need to restart the node. So it's just basically a state inside the node gets updated. Then when a new transaction comes in, the transaction will find that identity state. And if anything changed, then the new transaction will recognize the latest state. Okay, next question. Are policies, roles, permissions stored as ownable state or similar throughout the BN, or are they accessible strictly by querying the BNO at runtime? They are. What do you mean ownable state? I mean, they are state. You can query them. You can also query them at runtime, but I'm not sure what do you mean by ownable state. But they are states. Oh, query local. You don't need to query with the BNO node. It's only you basically you can have everything in local. Okay. And there's more questions in the QA. Is the sample repo available on GitHub? Yeah, yes. Answer live. I'm struggling to set up a Corda development. Okay, all right. So that's not SDK questions. Could you please tell me how the? Okay, yeah. Okay, all right. That's not the SDK question, but sure, I will type your answer. So you have two options. You can basically email us at devrel@r3.com, or you can join our Slack at slack.corda.net, or you can actually ask the questions at community.r3.com. So basically it's operating like a Stack Overflow, but except it's the R3 Corda question only. All right. That's all the questions. And that's also actually all the contents we have prepared. I have prepared for today. It's 43. As I said, I won't take the whole hours. Any last questions? that anybody has for today's sessions. Again, thanks everyone for joining. My name is Peter. You can find basically all the sessions I did on YouTube. You just search for Corda blockchains. All right. Thanks everyone. Again, if you have any questions, send the email to debrel@r3.com. Yeah, so I'm also on that email list. You can just address it as Peter, so it's a little bit more personal. So cool. All right, thanks everyone. Bye.